So the Denver Broncos have selected Patrick Surtain and oh man, am I conflicted about this pick. I really am. So first things first, I should mention I am not the biggest fan of Surtain, but that's largely just because of his 40 time. He's not the fastest corner, and historically, slower corners don't do that well. If you don't run under a 4.5, that's usually trouble, and given his slower pro day time, which I believe was a 4.46, usually you add on a tenth of a second to that, so that's above 4.5. Those guys tend to not work out. Now, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that once I get to the film study. Now, the flip side is that Denver loves to play a cover 3 zone, and I believe in this video I'm going to kind of talk about why he'll do not so great in man, but really good in cover 3, although the issue is that if Vic Fangio does go this year, who knows what they do next year, so there could be some issues if they change the scheme. I do think he needs to be in that cover 3 to really be successful, so I'd say don't change the scheme because you have that guy. I just think I would have gone quarterback here. I mean, trying to bank on maybe they're getting Aaron Rodgers, right? And if they get Aaron Rodgers, then I love this pick. Then, okay, I mean, I still think there's better players on the board, but then I don't hate this pick, especially given the fit that he will be in for Denver, which I'll get into in a second. But again, with some quarterbacks on the board, when you could have gotten a Mac Jones or a Justin Fields, and they need a quarterback, unless you want to just go with Teddy Bridgewater the rest of the way, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I don't know. I would have rather gone quarterback. But let's get into the film study now, talk about Surtain as a player, and sort of talk about the pros and the cons of him and what he could bring to Denver in the positives and in the negatives. So we'll start off with this play. This is something that, listen, I talk a lot about speed for a corner, and the reason why I'm concerned about Surtain is his speed at the cornerback position, right? But I do have to say it absolutely wasn't a problem in college. And part of that is just in college, guys aren't as fast as they are in the NFL. That's a huge thing. But also, I mean, he plays these situations really well. So, like, this is the situation that usually speed can kill you if you're not a fast corner. It's a go route towards the sideline. And I do think you're going to kind of see some pretty good play here by Surtain. So watch how right when this play starts, you see Surtain turn around and, there's a bit of a throwing window right here, and I guess that's one thing you could argue is that, hey, if that's like Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, that's probably an easy completion, which, okay, sure, maybe he won't be the best at covering Tyreek Hill one-on-one. Who can, right? Like, who can do that? But more importantly, I think what's probably worth mentioning is, in this situation, he is doing a good enough job to stay within sort of arm's length. And typically, you say, well, that's not necessarily always a good thing, because what if the offensive player is able to make the grab? Quite frankly, I think as long as Surtain can just stay within here, he'll be fine. And that's why I still do like him as a player. I still do have a first-round grade on him as a player, despite some clear concern. Watch how Surtain does reach up and knock that ball away. His ball skills are incredible, and that's going to bail him out of some situations that maybe he will get beat from speed here and there, but he has the great ball skills, the elite ball skills, to sort of get him out of those situations sometimes. I also like this play where, for one thing, what you're going to see on this play is it's going to, you see that I got this individual play from a highlight clip. I got a couple of them from the same clips, so you're going to see that Surtain has that light up thing, which is nice. We get to see where he is a little bit easier, so he's the one who's lit up like that lens flare. But this is an interesting play. So he's going to kind of get schemed out of position a little bit. What's going to happen is that they have a wide receiver running towards the middle, so he's going to then run towards the middle, but then you have a tight end who's going to just flip it around, and he's going to then run to the outside. And since this is cover 3, and that's where Surtain is supposed to cover, the hope is that he can get further to the outside of Surtain, and Surtain can be in trouble. It's not something you'll never see, but a smart play for Texas A&M, and maybe they're thinking, hey, he's not necessarily the fastest corner. Let's see if we can beat him with speed, although that's just not going to work with a tight end. And so watch how right when this play starts, he reads it, and he's going to sort of try and get now to the outside where, listen, this is the situation that Texas A&M wanted, right? They get sort of that outside leverage a little bit, which is what they were going for. Typically, why I harp on speed so much for cornerbacks is just because you're going to get yourself out of position, and you have to find a way to get back in position in the NFL to at least, make the play difficult. And the number one way to do that is speed, and there will be some plays where you can't do that without speed, but there is another way to do it sometimes, and Surtain has his way to get back, and watch what he's going to do. This is just going to be an incredibly athletic play. I mean, that was a perfect throw. You can't ask for a better throw than that, and Surtain still ran over and was able to knock it away. Just really good Really good job by Patrick Surtain right there. So again, his ball skills are elite. They might be the best of this draft. I think they probably are. Like, ball skills, fantastic, and that will come in handy. Like, this one's going to be another one where this is actually pretty interesting. So going up against South Carolina, and a play was getting called, it looks like, right when the ball is about to get snapped. I think this is a good job by South Carolina. I wonder if they just said, like, hey, hike the ball. They're not paying attention. Not really sure exactly what's going on. But Surtain is clearly out of position when this ball is getting snapped. So that's not great, right? Not exactly ideal. It's not really something I blame him for. I'm not like, oh, I'm worried about Surtain's ability to stay focused on the wide receiver pre-snap. No, that would be silly. Of course he'll be fine at that. Just he's out of position for this play. But watch what he's able to do. He immediately is out of position, but runs back and is able to, again, sort of use the ball skills to knock that one away. And he does get back in position to some degree. So that's kind of what I like about him is, despite the fact that he doesn't have speed, he still does a great job at finding ways to get back into plays that he's been beat on. So it's possible that he'll be one of those corners that runs above a 4.5. And I know his pro day time is better, but pro day times are wonky. To me, I'm pretty sure it's above 4.5. But he could be one of those, rare but still happen receivers that run above a 4.5 and are still successful. I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen. And another thing I like about him will be shown on this play. He's currently lined up all the way to the right. And it's just going to be, going to get it to the halfback who's going to just, try to run, pick up some yards. And for Surtain, he's at first going to be covering the wide receiver, so it might take him a second here. Like, watch, he runs towards the middle because he's, trying to cover that guy, but then realizes, okay, this is the running play. I have to get over and make the play. And so, I don't know, you want to play my favorite game of take a guess right now when I paused it where this tackle was going to get made? Well, as you see, it only goes for about 2 yards, and just an incredible tackle by Surtain. It's less about just getting there quickly, but more about how he just completely stops that halfback in his tracks. So, that, to me, that matters. It's not the end of the world. It's not something I think is crazy and like the most important thing in the world, but I do think it matters. I do take that into consideration. Having someone who can play physical on the outside, who you're not going to want to run the ball through too often. I like that kind of stuff. I think that he's pretty good at that kind of stuff, in fact. So there's a lot he does really well. The only thing that he doesn't do well enough for me is run a 40-yard dash in sub 4.4, which, there have been guys who have been successful. I just think it's a little risky when I see that, and it is a little worrisome. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.